Tensions between the U.S. and China have been rising for years.
The Select Committee will come to order.
The purpose of the Select Committee on China is to bring bipartisan focus on the economic and military challenges China poses to the U.S. As chairman, Congressman Gallagher is calling for action.
So that has me worried right now that we're just not attacking this with a sense of urgency. And I think that's part of my job as chairman of the Select Committee on China, to inject a sense of urgency into this competition, to wake my colleagues up.
One of the issues making headlines is Gallagher's call for a ban on TickTock.
The issue with TickTock is not just that it's highly addictive for kids, which it is, and it's increasing depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation among young kids. So I've called it digital fentanyl because it's highly addictive and it can be sourced back to China. It's not just that. It's not just that it can track your location, it can exfiltrate your data. It's that it's a news source for young Americans. So it's as if in the Cold War we would have allowed the KGB and Pravda to buy NBC, ABC, the Chicago Tribune, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and that probably understates the scope of the problems.
Do you think we're in the early stages of a Cold War?
We are in the early stages of a new Cold War. What makes this Cold War actually more difficult and complex than the old is the fact that for the better part of 3 decades now, we've been integrating China into the global economy, and in many cases we've become conjoined twins with China economically. So we're trying to figure out where and how we separate.
It sounds very much like outbound investment to me.
The Select Committee on China's most recent hearing focused on how to counter the Chinese Communist Party's economic aggression.
The market for soybean is very complicated.
Gallagher says there are areas the U.S. can stay ahead and reclaim our economic independence, like energy needs and agriculture. China has become increasingly antagonistic towards Taiwan and its independence. Experts worry that aggressive action from China towards the small democratic island nation 100 miles off its coast could destabilize the world economy.
Why should we care about this little island off of China? Why do we care about what's happening there?
Everything in your house in northeast Wisconsin with an on and off switch likely has a chip or a semiconductor that's made in Taiwan. So if China controls Taiwan, they have the ability to hold the rest of the world economically hostage. The American people would not be insulated. There would be an economic effect. There could be a military effect on the homeland. We would be unable to fulfill all of our treaty alliances with Japan, with other treaty allies in the region. It would basically render us subordinate, humiliated, and irrelevant on the world stage. And it would allow China to become the dominant global power. And the world in which China is the dominant global power is a very dark, dark world that we don't want to live in.
And in Washington, where most issues are so polarized, there seems to be a bipartisan approach towards China. We spoke with Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California.
Well, I think Mike recognizes the economic competition. He wants manufacturing to come back. He also, of course, recognizes our strategic interest in ensuring that they do not invade Taiwan. And he has done a good job of bringing that issue to the awareness of the committee and building bipartisan consensus.
And Chuck Todd of NBC's Meet the Press.
I think he's having a huge impact. I think what comes out of it is going to be taken very seriously by everybody involved, not just on one side of the aisle.
What are you working towards? Because right now we haven't seen any tangible change from any of these meetings you've had.
I think we should just have a robust debate. I think that debate sharpens our thinking. What is the overall end state for our strategy vis-a-vis China?
When are we going to see these changes?
We'll have our first set of policy endorsements, and that'll be a prelude to a series of reports where the committee will hopefully endorse bipartisan policy recommendations that are a blueprint for legislative action, things we can get done this Congress.
Thursday on NBC 26 News at 6.
It seems like most of your focus is on geopolitical relations, international relations, and your focus on China. What are you doing for your 8th district?
And
where do you see yourself in 5 years?
For one, I don't consider this as a career.
at the U.S. Capitol, Nina Sperano, NBC 26.